Welcome to Good Life. I'm Dean Wilson. So glad you've joined us today. And you can always find us at goodlifetelevision.org, where we have all the interviews, the full interviews, as well as what we call power clips, which are just some of the great moments from those interviews. We've had, I think, 90 so far, and people from all walks of life, all career paths, public service, law enforcement, executives, young people, famous people, not famous people. It's been a real blend of people that have great stories and are doing great work. So we think you'll enjoy it. goodlifetelevision.org. My guest today is also doing great work and has done great work. He's a Santa Barbara police officer. Adrian Gutierrez is with me. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming. And specifically, Officer Gutierrez is involved in the PAL program, which a lot of people are familiar with, but in case you're not, does it still stand for the Police Athletic League? Activities?
Activities League.
Was it the Athletic League?
Athletic leagues, it started in the East Coast.
Okay.
Because they were focused a lot on sports.
But now, it's activities.
Yes, and now
Police
because
activity.
You have educational stuff.
Right. It's more than just sports.
Absolutely.
Right. So Police Activities League, he's involved in addition to lots of other things. But when I was reading about you, the first thing that kind of stuck with me was that you grew up in the neighborhood where you've served quite a bit in your long 20-year career?
21 years.
21 years. Talk about kind of growing up there and then your road to where you are now.
Well, too bad we have a little bit of time and not too much. I was born in Mexico, in Jalisco, Mexico. And we immigrated to Santa Barbara directly. I was about 7 years old. I grew up on the east side on Voluntario Street. And, back then, my parents, didn't have jobs, but my mom became a house cleaner. She cleaned homes, and my father was a tailor. But he was a tailor, and then he also worked at a lemon packing company right near the railroad tracks. He hurt himself and could not work hard labor anymore, so he continued doing the tailoring. He'd make pants, and I don't think we ever bought any clothes in the store because he made everything. And my mom continued cleaning till her last days. She loved it. So growing up in the neighborhood was a challenge for me initially because of the language barrier. Mm-hmm. Because I'd get bullied, I'd get made fun of, and to be honest with you, I was scared of police.
Really?
I was scared of police because my parents instilled that in us, because back in the hometown in Mexico, police were not to be trusted. So every time we'd see a police officer, my father would shake. He would be driving and he'd just pull into any random driveway.
Really? Just
to get away from them. So it was a challenge growing up with the language. And during that time also there was quite a bit of gang activity. Luckily for me, I was able to play soccer, and I love soccer. So even though we didn't have money, and even back then it was so expensive to play in club teams, there was a lot of people in the community that would take me in and let me play on their teams without paying. So that was a huge help for me.
Wow.
So through that, I was able to continue, keep myself out of trouble. I won't say I was perfect, but that kept me busy.
Wow.
So, but being from an old school machista father, it was difficult because, I think I was more scared of my father than I was police.
Really?
So I think that kept me out of trouble as well.
Right.
So,
that's a great reminder. I mean, hearing you say there was somebody who would cared about me enough to let me come on the team, and that kept you away from the gangs. That those people, the people that step in to do something like that, it seems so small, but it's so big. I mean, if you think about it. Think about, what you just said, here's a trajectory, here's one way, here's another way. And because somebody did that, you were able to stay on a good path. I mean, that's really...
They were like second fathers to me.
That's incredible. That's incredible. 21 years on the PD. We've had an interesting year or so in many respects. Obviously, we're in a pandemic, and as we tape this, we're still in a pandemic. And then we had a lot of this unrest in the country, and there's been a lot of discussion about the police and about, the relationship between the police and the community. And one of the things that I was thinking about when I was reading about you is you have had a very active role in the community, which from my perspective just seems like a model, because I feel like a lot of these walls that are erected would be broken down if there was more of this. And that's just my opinion. But I wanted to start, before we get to your activities in the community, I wanted to start with just this job. Because I think, and we were talking about this earlier, I think that it can be, people may not understand how tricky, difficult, whatever you want to call it, this job is. It's not just about putting your lights on, pull somebody over, write a ticket. Like, there's so much. I was saying to somebody else who was here in public service, like you, I think it was a fireman, that you're not called because there's good news. The only calls you get is because it's bad, and it's so bad that the people there couldn't handle it. But talk about, because 21 years is a long time to be in this profession, and especially when we know that you guys can carry a lot of stuff with you because of what you see. But talk about your road as a police officer and kind of how you've managed to keep going for 21 years.
Of course. So if you would have told me in high school I was going to be a police officer, I would have laughed, because that wasn't my goal. And a lot of people think we start off knowing what we want to do, and I wanted to be a professional soccer player.
Oh, really?
After high school, I became an auto mechanic. And through there, I decided, because there was a reserve police officer that worked next to me, and I kept bugging him every time he came on Mondays, who he arrested, if we knew them. I was being just nosy. And I think he got tired of it. So he said, why don't you just become one? So I did. I went back to school, became a reserve officer, and then I went full time. My father was kind of ill when I was at the academy. He was ill. And the only graduation he attended of mine was that. And one thing he told me, and I'll never forget, don't forget where you came from. Help people like us. And it stuck with me. And in all reality, when I became a police officer and became a reserve officer, that was my goal. I wanted to change things that I saw growing up. And so for me, and this job was not difficult for me. Yes, we saw many things. Yes, there were sleepless nights. But in reality, it's how you treat people and how you respect people and turn those bad situations into good ones, where you can offer some help, even if it's just a hug or just, everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
If you hear that from a police officer, I think it goes a long way.
It does. Yeah.
Because we have a bad rap to begin with, so we need to change that. So throughout my career, that was my philosophy, and it still is. I'm back as working in the community now. I'm a new community liaison officer now, and I teach at the academy that. So I teach community-oriented policing now. You mentioned PAL. PAL, working with the youth, is so important right now.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these kids don't have a father figure or don't have someone to look up to.
Right.
And they're not just going to feel safe with anybody. Of course, initially when we meet them, they're going to, oh no, like I was. But once they get to know you, they feel safe. PAL is one example. They can go there and feel safe. I served on the state and national PAL board because I believe in it, and I'll help any organization here. So I think key to my, I don't want to say success, but my working with the community is respecting people and treat them well.
Yeah.
That's it.
Speaking of PAL, I think it's been in Santa Barbara for 22 years or so. You've probably been there since close to the beginning.
Yes, I was kind of the second PAL officer.
Were you really?
So, yeah.
Talk about what you've seen there over 20 plus years, and the impact that it has. I mean, you kind of just described a little bit, but talk about the impact PAL can have and what makes it kind of a special thing.
First, I want to say there are many organizations that work with youth here that are awesome.
Mm-hmm.
The city of Santa Barbara is full of great organizations that have great programs and good people. PAL is just another one. But what's unique for us is that we have officers involved in the PAL program. So what I've seen throughout the years with our youth is that they get to see us more on a human side. So we'll go camping, we'll go take them to trips, we'll go to Disneyland. We've taken many, trips to Disneyland where some of these kids have never been there, and they're just having us next to them makes them feel safe, and for us it's great because now they know we're really not robots, we're really not mean, So I think that has, in a nutshell, I think just having the police involvement and the safety part of it, it makes them feel comfortable. Yeah. And in addition, we have great programs for them, and we'll get them engaged with them. So, and with the parents, the parents, they themselves feel more comfortable speaking to us. Whereas before they started PAL, they would just wait in the parking lot for them to come in and out. Now they come in and speak to us and ask us questions, and sometimes we're there for 2 hours and we're talking about stuff.
Wow. So it's good for the kids and the parents.
Overall, I think it's a great, for all of us.
That's neat. Before we came on, we were talking about the Citizens Academy, which I'd never heard of, and maybe other people have not heard of that. But describe what that is and what people might want to know about it.
Citizens Academy is a 8 to 12 week course that we offer for citizens of the city of Santa Barbara. We have it in English, and we also have it in Spanish. We don't ask for any immigration papers. We don't ask for any citizenship. We accept everybody. Of course, we check their records and make sure we're not getting someone that's, not a good person. Right. But we accept everybody. So in that class, we'll meet once a week, 2 to 3 hours for 8 weeks. And every day we have a different subject. We'll talk about, and we'll ask at the beginning, what is everybody interested in learning? So basically what it is, we want to show them what we do and explain to them why we do certain things, and we're there to answer any questions for them. So every week it's something different, and on one of those days we put them through scenarios. Like, we get actors, and we see how they react. We give them fake money, and we go, and then here they run into someone mugging them, or someone want to steal their car. So we put props. They come back with no shoes, no chains. They give everything. But we teach them. We kind of explain to them, it's not good to fight them. Just give up your purse, and for your safety. So there's benefits in many. It's fun. They have a great time. And again, that's on both English and Spanish academies.
Yeah, I think just like with anything, the more we know each other, the more we are in relationship, the better. Because before we came on here, you were talking about the Citizens Academy and just the teaching that goes on. Why is it that we have sometimes 4 police cars for pulling over one car? And you were helping just little old me, understand.
Yes.
Why that is. Whereas I never knew the answer to that. And you might think, oh, this is a little heavy-handed, or do we have to? But then you were describing why, and I was like, okay. And I just think that's, and I'm assuming that's a big part of what happens at Citizens Academies. All of a sudden people understand. Is that right?
That is correct. And we have them act out some of these. And we ask them, how would you do this? And then we point out, okay, see what you did here, you could have gotten injured. This is why we do this. Or this is our procedure. And that's, it's for our safety and other people's safety. It's not just because we want to do that.
Yeah.
So, and they understand it.
Before I move on PAL, how has been the COVID response, or what has changed, or is it kind of shut down? What's happened during the pandemic?
Of course, like any other programs, they're limited with how many students you can have. You have to have an outdoor area. So for PAL, we've been able to finally have an open area outside where we have them social distancing, and we help them with their Zoom classes, like many organizations are doing right now. And then once they're done with that, they'll play activities outside. We have, for example, a couple officers that come every Wednesday, and they play, catch with them, and they'll do, and so we'll keep them busy until their parents pick them up.
They're finding a way to keep.
Yes.
You from 7 on. Sounds like you were raised on the east side of Santa Barbara, where we are right now, and then you were a beat coordinator on the east side. You've been a beat coordinator on the east side. What was that like?
Well, I was a patrol when I first started on the east side.
Okay.
And it was great because I can go home and get something to eat, and but I didn't do that too often. But I knew everybody. Everybody knew me, and it was like being home, And then some of the officers would ask me, "How can you work where you live? Don't you, how can you live where you work? Do they give you problems?" I go, again, it goes back to how you treat people. Mm-hmm. And they know me, and I'm not going to change. The gangsters know me. I'll mow my lawn, and they come by, and they just say hi, But
really,
I guess they probably treat me like one of their own from the east side. I'm from the area, so they have that respect.
Wow.
But once you mistreat people or you start talking, then that's when we have problems.
Yeah.
But no, it was great. And till this day, as a beat coordinator, I also worked on the east side. And when I went back recently to patrol, I worked the east side. So I've been on the east side most of my career, but I've done a lot throughout the city on the west side as well.
Yeah,
so
that's so great. I think we are kind of spoiled in this country. It got me thinking about it when you were talking about your dad and his response to the police because of his experience in Mexico. And I was thinking back to my experience in Mexico, actually, once when we had to bribe an officer for we didn't do anything wrong, but yet here we were bribing this guy on the side of the road to and I think sometimes we can take for granted in this country what a blessing it is to have honest, upright, again 99.9% probably honest, upright, noble people that go into this noble profession. Yes. So I wanted to say that to say thank you, because it's people like you. I can tell just being around you for half an hour that I'd want you to show up at my door. I mean, for good reasons. I do have some parking tickets out there that we but it is a noble profession, and to have noble people that go into it for the right reasons and then do it in a way that they care about the relationships, because you do live in the community, and that's beautiful. I mean, and I think that's a great thing. So thank you.
You're welcome.
And thanks for coming on.
Anytime.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time.